Good evening, everyone. Hello, I'm Erin Dunn. I'm the Curator of Modern and Contemporary Art here at Telfair Museums. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for this really wonderful talk with Lisa D. Watson and Dana W. Richardson. And I'm very impressed with this audience already because so many of you came to the front, which is what I normally have to ask people to do, so I can tell it's already going to be a really engaged audience tonight. I do have a few thank yous before we get rolling. I want to thank the City of Savannah and the Georgia Council for the Arts for investment in Telfair Museums. My sincere appreciation to Renee Morier, Associate Curator at the Phillips Collection in Washington, D.C., who served as guest judge for this project. Thanks to Melissa Hill and Teddy Grabowski and Kayla Logan and my fellow Telfair colleagues, especially Heath Rich and Stephen Harmon. And as many of you know, Art 912 is an initiative dedicated to raising the visibility and promoting the vitality of artists living and working in Savannah. We're thrilled that we've featured over 25 exhibitions related to this program since the initiative officially launched in 2016. And tonight, I'm really excited and proud that we're working with two former Art 912 artists again. Lisa's solo exhibition, Avantgardia, was on view in the Art 912 gallery in 2017. And Dana's site-specific mural, Late Afternoon Near the Academy, was painted in 2020, and it greeted visitors on the third floor landing of the Jepson Center for several years. Tonight, we're celebrating Lisa and Dana and their collaborative project, Heroes and Hosts. Now, this is the 10th iteration of the annual Call to Artists series, Boxed In Breakout, which is a unique public-facing platform for artists to submit work to be on view in the 6 windows that are right out here along the Jepson Center facing Barnard Street. And so after the talk tonight, I'm going to invite everyone to come outside and join us on the sidewalk to view the work, which is a theatrical narrative where fragile ecosystems take center stage. And this project places a necessary spotlight on Georgia's indigenous yet vulnerable species, inviting visitors to witness the divide between human-made and wild spaces. This installation will be on view in the windows through April 26th of next year. So I did want to give a little bit of background and bio of our artists tonight. So Lisa is an artist and gardener whose environmental concerns are expressed in each project. She has used salvaged objects as her medium for over 25 years, including paper products, metal, industrial wood, produce netting, and more. She seeks balance between urbanization and conservation in her artwork and garden design. Her company, Planet Green Design, consults homeowners with native, drought-tolerant, and pollinator-friendly landscapes. She's currently working with the Georgia Plant Conservation Alliance and the Longleaf Alliance to document imperiled plant species and assist with restoration projects. She holds a BFA from Columbus College of Art and Design in Ohio and a certificate of interior design from LTU in California. Dana is an artist based in Savannah, Georgia, obviously. She explores the re-enchantment of spaces through her subconscious painting method using automatic processes to channel internal landscapes. She holds a BFA in painting and an MAT from Savannah College of Art and Design and is currently pursuing an MFA at the Maryland Institute College of Art, expected to graduate in 2026. And I think she's headed back there tomorrow. She's an art instructor at Savannah Christian Preparatory School, and she studied landscape at the New York Studio School, the Art Students League, and the Pennsylvania Academy. She was selected for a grant to the Vermont Studio Center. Her creative journey was also influenced by a year spent at the Marchutes School of Painting in the south of France, where her connection to landscape painting began. We're so thrilled to have their installations, Heroes and Hosts, on view in the windows, and excited to dive more into the process and meaning behind the work. So please join me in welcoming them to the stage. So excited to have you join me on the stage.
Us too. Thank you for having us.
So how did you decide in the first place to submit a proposal together? Because I should also say this is our very first time in the Boxed In Breakout series that we've had a duo, we've had a collaborative project on View. So how did you decide to work together? And then once you were selected as the winning proposal, how did that collaboration evolve?
I think it was about 6 months ago, Dana had a studio opening and invited some people. And she did this giant painting, but then I walked around and saw this cypress painting and realized that I think Dana needs to be in the conversation for conservation as well. And I just kind of could not stop thinking about how we could create something. And the Boxed In Breakout call was out, and we agreed that's what we should go for. Yeah.
Yeah, Lisa has been working with ceramics and sculpture, and I think immediately when when Lisa kind of mentioned to me about the proposal, I saw the division of labor kind of show up, that I could do the backdrops and she could do the foreground area. So I think immediately that seemed like a clear path to go.
Did your project change a lot? I mean, I feel like I know a little bit that it did, but that it changed from your submitted proposal to the end product? And what were some of the things that evolved as you started working together and then working with this very particular space?
Particular for sure. The windows are giant, so if you want to do big pieces, it's great. But the width or the depth is 13 inches. So as a sculptor, it's challenging to come up with a way that those are going to stand in the foreground. But what changed the most was what we call curtains or the borders. We originally had them a lot more decorative, but once we started going on our project, we realized they were a little too busy. So that was our biggest transformation, change, don't you think?
Yeah, I think we were, willing to let it change too. I mean, watching ourselves let it change also was kind of a fun part. We didn't want to just make a proposal and then let's just recreate that. Let the process change the product also.
And you guys had to figure out a lot of particulars of working with the space too, because, like you said, you had the installations and then you had the backdrop and you wanted lighting in the space as well. So you use kind of LED lights, all of these things that everyone's gonna get to see how you really conceptualized every inch of the space, including painting the windows, which is something that we hadn't done before. But of course now every artist is gonna wanna do, so thank you.
Okay, the window frames, not the windows themselves.
Exactly, yeah.
Whoa. Why didn't we do that? Shoot. I know, we keep coming up with more ideas. Just all the time. We're like, oh, well, that's one reason we decided to do the website, because we want to keep collaborating and going out to these spaces and encouraging each other to keep going.
Tell us about the website.
Oh, I think you should answer.
Okay. We have a website called heroesandhosts.com, and it's got a button for all of the ecosystems that are represented on the street, but also several of the hosts that we'll talk about more are information about them also. So it's something that we can keep adding to, also an archive of our process, how things changed, images to show sketches that we then didn't go with, and I think we're just going to keep adding to it.
So keep returning for more. When I first read your proposal, I was really struck by, and I think you kind of alluded to this, was the framework of the curtains and the theater and this idea of casting habitats as heroes and hosts. And I was hoping you could dive into explaining that a little bit more, and why that kind of context appealed to you as a conceptual framework for the project.
Okay, so this is something that I've been thinking about a lot. You know, normally in our stories about ourselves, we are the heroes and the landscape is the background. And so we wanted to flip that, and the heroes are the species. So these stories in the theater, this performance aspect of our lives has been something very interesting to me, because part of the reason I wanted to work with Lisa is that, you know, you all know her. She's very warm. She's fun to be around. And I knew our friendship would deepen over the time of working together. And I was thinking about those stories of friendships and collaboration and how those things transform us also. In particular, I'm looking at Gilgamesh and Enkidu and their friendship. And they go on their journey, but the thing that changes them is not the forest, but it's actually Gilgamesh's grief over losing his friend. And the hero's story isn't really about conquering, it's about transforming ourselves. And I knew that Lisa would be a good person that we could enact that in real time. I mean, that's not something that gets shown in the windows, but it's something that we experience. And you know, I feel like as a pair, we are going out and going into the landscape, and it's shaping us as I learn more about it. So the theater, I mean, gosh, it's so loaded, isn't it? I mean, it's often the forest in particular is a place of like mischief and not necessarily beautiful and idealized and separate, but something that's outside of society. So like in Shakespeare, where you've got As You Like It, they leave the court and they go out into the forest of Arden, and the jester says, kind of playing it for jokes, is this the forest of Arden? But in the forest, you know, all these silly hijinks happen. They fall in love, but they play tricks on each other. And Midsummer's Night's Dream, you know, there's fairies, and Puck is kind of a mischief maker too. So, I mean, there's so much to me about the theater and performance and who are the performers now. And I think we all would want it to be a little less human-centered. And I think one of the things when we were going on a drive, we went down to several places to look at things. Lisa said, oh, that land, people call that trash land. And that stuck with me a lot, because I thought, gosh, what a story to tell ourselves about how we interact with that place. And we were talking about the words and naming things, and to name something is to be in relationship with it. So I'll stop there. But I mean, there's a lot about the theater that I think is a way of playing out stories, but it's also about how we think about things. So to call something trash land is placing us in such a strange way. But if you know the name of it, it's not trash land anymore, it's a bog meadow.
Yeah, and I was telling Lisa and Dana that today I was walking by the windows and I saw some passerbys looking at it, and I saw them repeat the names that they had as, you know, kind of carved out as the title cards in the windows. So I saw a woman stop and go, Bog Meadow. And so then, yeah, it is kind of naming something and then wanting to learn more about it, and then hopefully she is interested to kind of delve in deeper.
Well, I'm going to stop talking so much, but I liked in the Wizard of Earthsea, like Ursula Le Guin talks about the power of knowing something's name, but that it also makes you have a responsibility for it. And I am from Tennessee. This landscape, I don't know the names of things here. So when I walk with Lisa, she's like, that's that, and that's that. And my mother, who's a gardener, she knows the names of things, and it changes it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And too, naming each window ended up being really important to me. And a lot of times, if you know my work, I'll use type or road signs and things that we just see all the time. Or if you're driving down the highway, you know what that Taco Bell is, right? But isn't it weird that we don't know what a bog meadow is? I think that is
What is a
just-
bog meadow?
Well, a bog meadow is usually a lower spot. Now, I'm talking about coastal communities in Georgia. Lower spot in a longleaf pine forest. And you can walk around and all of a sudden you're starting to go quick, quick, and then you realize you're coming up to a water base. And I was with Lisa Lord from the Longleaf Alliance, and we saw a giant frog jump by in front of us, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I think that's it. I think that's the gopher frog," and I just was flipping out. But okay, you asked that question, but I just went off on what. But another example, in Statesboro, there was development happening, and a woman who's in the Native Plant Society noticed, oh my gosh, are they digging there? Because she saw a whole preserve of pitcher plants, and they were stopped. They had to stop. The Native Plant Society came in, did a rescue. Unfortunately, they couldn't keep the spot, but they did rescue all the pitcher plants. And if you go to that botanical garden, those pitcher plants are from that rescue, which is incredible. Okay, that was...
I mean, well, in the bog meadow, which is something I learned about the pitcher plants, I mean, first of all, they're just wild looking. They're so kind of monstrous looking, and they are carnivorous, which is like, whoa! I mean, they eat bugs, but it's just such an alien looking plant.
And a lot of people think they're from the rainforest, just like Venus flytraps. But Venus flytraps are from North and South Carolina originally. And yeah, we have 8 different kinds of pitcher plants in Georgia. It's pretty nice. Here she goes with the numbers.
Well, that's what I was about to say. At one point you said you had some statistics for us, and I think there is a little bit of educational value to you just telling us maybe kind of what each window is and what they're talking about and how your painting kind of contributed to that and how you were thinking about it through your sculpture. So I don't know if you want to go through kind of just what each window is.
Sure. Maritime Forest. That's the first one. We were fortunate. We went to Jekyll and walked around to see. But the most important thing is that maritime forests along the coast are really important because their root system keeps the coast steady and keeps it from, what we're seeing, whether you believe it or not, sea level rise. And a lot of migratory birds end up in those maritime forests. The Hercules Club. Again, Georgia Southern, we went out there because I knew she would flip out over the Hercules Club, and I really did. I was hoping she'd like it because I really wanted to sculpt one. And she did. So we did studies out there, and then it ended up, and honestly, and I've told her this is my favorite thing of the project, is I told her that, hey, there's a Hercules Club at this native nursery. Do you want one? You want to see how it grows? And she did. And she planted it, and a few months later, it's the larval host for the eastern swallowtail, and caterpillars were on it. So she already was improving the environment. So that was really special.
Yeah, the Hercules Club is wild. It's got these huge thorns on it. And it's also called a toothache tree and can be chewed on to numb your mouth. And the one I got, the leaves immediately got munched off by the swallowtail caterpillars. And Lisa assured me that is the way of things and just let it happen. And then I got a little chrysalis and it flew away and the leaves came back and more came and munched those leaves down. So now I am the mother of the swallowtails.
Yes. This is all in 4 months. All this happened in 4 months, which which is so cool.
Yeah, it was really exciting, so I encourage everyone to get one because it really does happen fast.
Yeah.
I haven't chewed on it yet to see what it feels like, but when it gets bigger, I will.
We'll shoot video of that for sure.
It'll be on the website.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second window is the bog meadow again, which we had talked about. I think that, for me, I love her painting, by the way. When I walked into her studio and saw that painting, I just, like, oh, I couldn't believe it. It was beautiful. Still is beautiful. That was really challenging because I wanted to make a giant pitcher plant, and I had this much room to make it stand, so I ended up hanging it. So you'll see the lines, which it was good because we wanted kind of that theatrical thing, so it kind of looks like a marionette in a way.
Well, I mean, the bog meadow I didn't get to see, so I had to paint it from descriptions from Lisa, which was actually kind of an interesting way to do it, to kind of search and to evoke it rather than to describe it specifically. So I looked at pictures. She kind of tried to tell me what it looked like. So I tried to feel what it might look like and imagine it. And then also paint it at a very large scale. When they're really small, we blew it up and made them kind of monumental. And, I started painting with the bamboo sticks so I could get really far away. And I think there's a lot of painters in here. When you paint at that scale, you're kind of searching for something, and kind of your body moves so differently. You're stretching and getting on ladders, and there's sort of a performative aspect to this kind of searching for something that is, I am separate from. I haven't been there. I don't know why. I should. I like the outdoors, but I probably don't go out as much as I should for my own well-being and for the well-being of the place. So that was the bog meadow. I feel kind of has that kind of smushy look to it because I can't pull it totally into focus. Okay.
What's the next one?
Longleaf Sandhill.
Longleaf Sandhill is the next one. So I think out of all the animals in our coastal community, the gopher tortoise is the biggest hero of anything. Here's what's interesting about the gopher tortoise is it will make a burrow, and this burrow is huge, and it just keeps going, tunneling down. So when there's a prescribed fire in that community, which is necessary to preserve all the flowers and everything, all over 500 different insects and animals go in this burrow and are protected from the fire. So I know coming from California, when I first heard about the fires here, prescribed fires, I was flipping out because you just don't set a fire. But I understand it better now. And, really good information is on the Longleaf Alliance website. They really talk about the prescribed fires. I don't know if I should mention a lot of them got fired recently, unfortunately, but what else am I saying? So that you'll see some of those, only a few of those animals that end up in the burrow. And but when I told her that story, she's like, I want to paint a hole. I really want to paint a hole. So you will see, well, no, that's not it. But that was good timing for the gopher tortoise.
Yeah, I wanted to feel what it would be like. I mean, it's like a children's story where the squirrels go into the tree and they have their little teacups and, all that kind of, when you're little, you have imaginings of how the animals live when we're not looking. And I wanted to feel like what it would be like to be all snuggled up down in the burrow while the fire is out and we're safe and all together. And that was a fun one, but again, kind of just imagined, not, I keep saying it's evocative, not exactly how it would look as a cross section. But yeah, that mind switch about what a fire is, seeing a fire on Asaba and just being like, oh, that's actually good. It's like a cleansing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Next is, oh my gosh, we're horrible. It's the one with the toads.
Oh yeah.
Pinewood, flatwood. That's horrible. We're horrible. The pine flatwood. So that's also very much in Longleaf communities, and that's a lower elevation, and there tends to be so many cool plants. You'll see orchids that are very endangered. You'll see salamanders. I personally am really obsessed with the gopher frog. I read about the gopher frog in 2018, and there's different species of it, but some are in Alabama. There's only a few communities left, and I was fortunate to see one of the communities. And I can't mention it because that's part of going out with these biologists, is I can't disclose the locations of these places. And you'll also see the bog buttons, which we again made them a little bigger than they really are. So you'll see that in the window.
Yeah, because I think the title Heroes and Hosts works on many levels. The hosts in terms of an ecological sense, but also the heroes and hosts in terms of are you quiet? A host lets other people speak, and is, that's kind of being gracious. And so switching and kind of going back and forth between those levels of what it means to be a hero and a host, ecologically, but also in relationship to the landscape.
Yeah. And last is reclamation. We kind of struggled with this one, our last window, because we were, only having 4 months is not a lot of time to go to locations, study them, and then, so we were kind of thinking, well, maybe we need to have like the finale and the hopeful window. Oh, they're all hopeful, but this is, we kind of wanted to show how important it is that we work in these urban settings. And a lot of you out here are fantastic gardeners, and you're in my garden community, thank you. And you're doing that at your homes, and I see pictures of what you're doing, but we need more of it. We need more of it. Even in our squares. Oh, I heard a moan. It's other than the oak trees, it's all exotic species. So it's not representing our history. As a historical town, we should have indigenous plants, don't you think? Yes. Thank you, yes. Yes. Yes, call Gordon Denny, because he's sick of my phone calls with Park a Tree. Seriously.
I think we can also leave the word reclamation ambiguous and let you decide for yourself what it means. I went out with my friend Jamie to kind of find a desolate landscape because we knew that Lisa was going to be doing the thing in the foreground. And we went out down over by Hutchison Island, and it turned out to be the most glorious sunset. I mean, it was just not degradation, at all. It was beautiful, pink and yellow. But if you do keep on driving down with all that construction, there are kind of eerie-looking marshlands in front of the port area. So that's what I ended up painting on that panel. And it was also a moment when the sun was setting and my eyes got that sun, that trace of the red sun, and that internal, where you have a trace on the back of your eyelids of what you're looking at. So I kind of represented that a little bit with the way I painted the sun hot pink.
I have many questions, but I think I'm going to try to just hone in on what you see maybe the visitor or the viewer taking away from the work in terms of our own considerations of entanglement with the environment. Because it's been really interesting to hear about how both of you approach the environment. Lisa coming at it from a very educational, once you learn the plants and you learn how they help the environment and how you can help different species, that's how you can make the world a better place, which is great. I want to learn those things. And then Dana coming at it from I don't know what any of this is, but maybe it will help me and, affect your painting practice too, maybe some. And I guess that's also another question I'd love to delve into is kind of how that, if it affected your artistic practice at all and for this particular installation. So maybe the first part focusing on kind of like what you think the visitors will take away from the work or how you want them to interact with the environment, kind of based on what you're showing.
Honestly, it's a tough one because when I have art shows, I provide information. If you've been, for the show I did at Sulphur, I made endangered plant list and my recommendation native plant list, and I wanted people to walk away and go, oh, I have the problem solver right here in my hand. Maybe we should put brochures out on the sidewalk.
Did people take the information?
Yeah. And I asked them to bring it to the local nurseries that aren't selling native plants. Like, do you have this one? Do you have this one? Do you have? Because we've got to change it. I think we have a lighting component to the windows, and I went by last night to check it out, and I watched some people go past the windows. They were very captivated by one, and we changed the color though, but I thought about this a lot, like what did those people think? And I don't know how to answer this question because I'm so, like her artwork is so gorgeous and grand, and she really captures the spirit of the place, and I get down to the nitty-gritty of, well, this is what lives there. We can look at it from a car window when we're passing by, but all these different species live there. Maybe that's what I want a passerby. I had to talk that question out, obviously.
No, I think that's honest. I mean, you never really know what you can expect anybody or how they will interpret what you make. We were self-conscious that we were putting them in the urban street and that these windows are not another place, they are this place. This is another level. We just don't often go there because we're busy, we got stuff to do. We like to use the word portals. They're windows into places that you can go.
Yeah. A little tiny escapism when you're going to get your bills paid at whatever building downtown.
Or going to the museum.
Yeah, going to the museum.
Fun things happen downtown too. But I think we kept looking at it obviously from outside as you were installing and feeling like we couldn't get away from the reflection of the ugly federal building next door. Because it invades the space as well, but I mean, we're not going to get away from that, having humankind invade the natural spaces, so it is kind of a reflection.
Wednesday morning, it was, 9:30, and I walked out, and there was the craziest reflection, so I kind of like that the windows are always changing. Because if you go in here, the lighting's set the same, right? But out there, you're just going to see different ways it's showing, even with that building across the street. It'll be cloudy one day, it'll be sunny one day, it'll be raining. We had one of the windows all that mist was happening, and it almost looked like we were at the zoo. You know, when you go into the snake pit, I don't know what you call it, habitat. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, maybe
Sort of
that
get
people
giddy.
would recognize things or go searching for them. I mean, it would be nice if it created some action of where could I go, where's the nearest place I could go see a Hercules Club or go buy one. I mean, for me, I know that it's changed me and that my visual vocabulary has expanded. And that always happens when you paint in the landscape. When I was first in college, it was a plein air painting school, so we were painting outside and every day for a year. And so I have a pretty big vocabulary or visual alphabet of shapes, natural shapes. And that's why when I do work from the subconscious, I'm always pulling out landscapes because that's what's in there. So if I expand that vocabulary to different specific things, then now my subconscious has changed.
Did it change your visual vocabulary at all, or the way that you were working, Lisa?
Again, I think it's naming each window. It was a ha-ha moment that I woke up one morning, and because we were redrawing the curtains, we kept going back and forth, and I just woke up and went, oh my gosh, we just need to cut them out and light them. And I mean, now I really want to play around with more lighting.
Are you telling me you're going to be coming back to do more installation?
Yes, what other windows are on this museum?
It is up for a year. We could talk about it.
Okay.
Those were my main questions. I'd love to open it up to the audience, but I know that Lisa has a quick surprise before that.
I just thought it would be fun. I don't know if my fellow artist up front, Chris Moss, should play because he always wins these games. Okay. I have a question, and whoever raises their hand first with the correct answer will get one of my seed packets that's got original artwork on it. Ooh. I think this one I'm going to do the zinnia. So, he knows this answer. In Georgia, what plant is the biggest larval host for caterpillars and moths?
Say again.
Yes. Oh, we've got one hand up. I want to see if Jessica Libos. No. No, this particular species supports over 500 moths and butterflies. No, that was a good guess, though.
Next to Carmel.
Oh. Yes! Oak trees. Sorry, I got really excited. Good job. That's Randy. Okay, now, not thinking about a tree, what plant that's not a tree supports the most butterflies and caterpillars? Randy, you can't get this one. Lady up there. Lantana? No. There's only one native lantana, and it's a Florida lantana. So everything else is from Asia. All that lantana. I know. I could go on and on about, yes? Is it people? No. So think about when I say larval host, so caterpillars eat the leaves, and they need those leaves. So when you answered milkweed, there's 2 butterflies that need milkweed, and that's it. That's what they need to survive. So, if we had if all we ate was cantaloupe, I don't know why I said cantaloupe, and suddenly all the cantaloupe disappears, we're all starving. This is why the monarchs are in decline, because we're not providing enough milkweed. But back to the other plant. It is, okay, I'm going to give you a big clue. Right now, a lot of people have it in their garden, and they get to put it in their granola. No. Flat. No. Blueberries? Yes! Blueberries. Blueberries support over 150 moths and caterpillars. Yeah, and the rabbit eye is our most common one here, but high bush too. Ujis and Jen, you should have known that one. Okay, I'm done.
I mean, that's what's so heartbreaking. They're all connected. Yes, congratulations. But, you know, what happens without the gopher tortoise? Where are all the little people going to go?
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for playing, and congratulations to our winners. Okay, we have 15 minutes, so time for a few questions, if anyone has it. And I will be repeating your question so that later in the recording we will know what the question was. So.
It's not a question, it's a suggestion, and you have brought it up. I think it would be a really good idea to promote what you've done and the impact on where we live if you had something inside, maybe at the desk, that somebody could come in and say, do you have any information on this? And there could be things about the plants, things about the turtles, the frogs. I really love those frogs, you know. And just, you know, about the bogs, just information that people can take with them. I think that would be, I would love that.
Well, that's one reason we did do the website, because a lot of information's on there. But I mean, the plant list is something we could provide.
Yeah, I think it could be as simple as just, you know, a printout takeaway for visitors. But yeah, I think we had originally thought it would be people going more to the website and hopefully finding out information. But it is always nice to have that very tangible aspect right when you leave.
Yeah. I agree. Good suggestion. Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question. How diverse does a indigenous garden have to be? I mean, how many plants, how few plants? What's the span of that?
Oh, that's a really good question.
So the question was, how diverse does a garden have to be in terms of indigenous plants?
Bees, birds, and butterflies and moths.
I guess I'll answer that.
That's you.
When I design a garden, I make sure that there's something that provides pollen and, of course, food to animals all year long. So, you know, in the spring you have flowering, and then when they die back, you've got summer, and I always have something going in that garden, and that's the best way to keep them there. I mean, the best thing, and I can just say this a million times, is leave the leaves. That is probably the most important thing you could possibly do, because so many of these insects, ladybugs, fireflies, butterflies, moths, end up making their chrysalis or their cocoon in the leaves. So when those people are blowing them away, we don't want all this stuff into the dump, right? So I never, hardly, unless I have a client who talks about it, I just use leaves as my mulch and keep it there. But yeah, just keep, you know, really look at when it's flowering. And, you know, the more you plant, you're going to see what's working. And I think winter, sometimes we forget, but there's things like winterberry and Yopon hollies that are got their berries, so all the birds end up coming into your yard at that point. Yeah, we're lucky in Georgia. We can just have a beautiful garden all year long.
Well, just sort of to attach to her question, can you name what plants you would plant during those seasons, each season?
There's so many.
We'll choose 2 or 3. Plant these in the winter, spring, summer, fall.
A lot of people like edible plants, so I'm going to say winter, plant Yopon holly for sure. For spring, Stokesia, Stokes aster, and let me think. Let me go back to spring. I'm trying to narrow it down because there's really over 500 different indigenous plants. Summer, we got the native bee balm, Leotris, Joe Pyeweed. Joe Pyeweed. If you're going to plant one thing, plant Joe Pyeweed. It is beautiful. It's blooming right now. And fall, another really important plant everybody thinks they're allergic to is goldenrod. It provides over 50 different moths and butterflies need that plant. What people are allergic to is ragweed. It's not the goldenrod. So, and the monarch butterflies that are coming from the north, if they see goldenrod, they're going to stop in the garden. So if you have milkweed, get that goldenrod in, and then they'll come to the milkweed. Thanks.
Rebecca.
No, don't plant now. It's too hot. You want to, okay, this is all going to be coming garden. It always comes garden.
I think we can continue the garden talk on the sidewalk in front of the works.
We
maybe.
can do garden talk.
Yeah, all the time.
Rebecca. Yay.
I have the luxury of knowing both of you, and I've gotten to know a little bit about your materials that you use. Dana, in the past, I've seen you with like all these different materials spread out. You're very excited about like these markers or this kind of ink or this kind of paint. And Lisa, I visited you in the past. I think when you were about to have your solo show, you were really, really focused on reusing paper and not having any trash or waste. So I'm just wondering in what ways those like material, like not only your excitement but kind of your restrictions came into this. In what ways you had to like give a little or learn a little, and if that was like, I mean, I guess what you came away with that.
So Rebecca was asking a question about the materiality works, what you've used in your work in the past and how maybe the constraints of this project changed or evolved how you work with materials.
You answered that one. On your.
So I only worked with woven canvas and acrylic paint and brushes. It was minimal. In terms of materiality and its significance as a choice, I think I was pulling more from theater than from ecology. So latex paint, house paint, I used those. So it wasn't as considered in terms of sort of a conceptual choice in that way, I think. But the scale is not materiality, I realize, but that was what pushed me most, these verticals, the repetition of verticals, and the other ways of disrupting marks with things like squeegees or sponges or spray bottles. Using found objects to make those marks was part of it. Also, bamboo sticks, pieces of cardboard I found on the floor, that using those tools. I mean, I don't know if that's really the answer that you're looking for, but It's what I have been using, so it hasn't changed, except for the bamboo to get away from it, which is like a Matisse move.
I guess I'm wondering, sorry, if Lisa in the past had like a lot of, because you're working with her, I didn't know if it restricted what materials you could use. Or if because she's working in ceramics, like if she's developed this new embracing of like other types of materials and that's like.
Well, Lisa's very a good steward of materials and uses the things she finds and makes those work. And I was not like that. I bought canvas at the store. I bought the paint at the store. So.
Yeah. We did purchase the wood for the borders and curtains. And if you know me, I don't normally like to do that. But a lot of what my part is just different scraps of wood. And my husband, Don Sanders, who worked the CNC machine that cut out the letters and helped me a lot designing the letters too. He brings home a lot of material that would go in the dump from work. So a lot of what I use is otherwise going to be thrown into the landfill. And they're beautiful pieces of wood. Yeah.
But we would often say, you just do your thing. I mean, that's sort of how this collaboration worked. It was like her studio, she was doing her work, my studio, I was doing my work, and we put them together and see what this third party is that is the thing we didn't expect.
That's just the question I wanted to ask. You know, you were working in your studio, Lisa was working with hers, and you had this concepts and these staging of these windows, and at some point they had to meet. And I haven't seen the windows yet, so I'm really excited to see it. But I'm curious about, in that narrow space, you got theatrical background, and then you've got the foreground sculptural components, as I imagine it. And from seeing these pieces, how did you bring them together as a unified image? I mean, did you actually come together to do that, stage it, and then make adjustments in relationship to color or the way something comes forward or receives the space even though it's not taking our space? I'm just curious about that final component, how that went for both of you.
So the question was kind of how you were working separately and then how you came together and if you staged it and had to make adjustments based on that, or kind of, I guess, what your working process was maybe kind of from the beginning to the end.
We were in the car a lot together when we would go to these locations, and then while we were there, we talked about what we would want to create. And we would both start and then compare the colors, and also I would, if on the Maritime one, which was the first one we worked on together, I found a giant branch, and we kind of based a lot of, I saw what she was doing, and then I thought, okay, this is how the branch has to look to not cover her paintings. Because I never wanted to really cover her paintings. I wanted to, I don't know, somehow have a 50-50. It wasn't that challenging, but when I'm talking about sounds challenging, but it wasn't. It really flowed.
Like, I wanted it to be improvisational. I didn't want us to, like, come up with a plan and then let's go make that. So we kind of left each other alone on that respect and said, that's part of the, not so much compromise, but the process itself is what it is. You let it be what it is. And you can't make somebody do your vision. Lisa had to be Lisa, and I had to do me. Mm-hmm. Yes, physically. Yes, in my studio, we hung them all up and looked at them. Yeah. We will use text message. I mean, our text chain is ridiculous of shooting what we're doing, and that was through photography a lot.
Yeah, I mean, she was teaching full-time, and then it was my planting season, so we both had a lot going on, too. So weekends were pretty precious to us. Mhm.
I think we have time for one more question. Oh,
Comment, question, but, just I think it's a really important work. It's beautifully done. And I'm sure it's going to inspire some really good conversations about how to fight back against what seems like constant consumerism, commercialism, what we all get wrapped up in, especially since environmental protections are being rolled back. And it just seems like with all these AI plants getting ready to get built, that can only be cooled with fresh drinking water, apparently. It's just scary stuff. I just think it's great that you guys are creating this work that we can have a conversation over.
the comment is good job and keep up the good work.